Hello everyone. I want to welcome our, great friend of mine, and great person. Very happy for his run to the top eight and into the finals of yesterday's Legacy Challenge. Here is my good friend Inigo.
Hello, Newton. Hello, guys. Thank you for having me, and thank you for your yeah, thank you for everything.
So Inigo, we'll go ahead and I guess we're just kind of winging it since we want to go over your not only the top eight but kind of like how we arrived at the current iteration. I think for those who don't know, this is the first time Fiend Artisan has top eight a legacy challenge, and not only top eight it, but we're talking about in my opinion, the best two drop in legacy and the second best creature in the deck behind Elvish Reclaimer. But w- before we dive into that too much, I guess do you want to just like talk a little bit about yourself, Inigo, for those who don't know you, or talk
Mm.
maybe about how you arrived. I
Yeah,
guess I'll let
actually, I
you
want to
lead.
give yeah. So actually, I have something kind of prepared.
Mm-hmm.
so okay. So the Thin Artisan version, right, started when you were preparing for the Showcase Challenge.
The qualifier, yeah.
And you tested with Ethan Cummins, and uh, and right, like you told us how great the artisan felt like on the like specifically on the Delver matchup, right? Because you were preparing like for a very small subset of players,
Mm-hmm.
and we know already Delver was gonna be popular, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like in a matter of 2 weeks, like you were like crazy about the card, and you made these emergency streams and everything, and since then we've been tuning at full speed, right? Like testing a lot of things. First swapping the mana dorks for five, then adding the Kyrion for more utility, then adding the opposition main for the silver bullets, everything. So yeah, so first of all, I want to thank Ethan and you for the testing, but I also want to say thank you specifically because when I started to test the version, I struggled a lot. I had a terrible weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Like I went on a 110 lose streak, and I was going to Bologna the next weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and I was really, my mood was not the best, and my feel of the deck was not the best.
Mm-hmm.
And but you gave me some advice. Also, shout out to Rodrigo too,
Mm-hmm.
who helped me in that regard. And I think this is just like another small step, just like when you are transitioning from Nettle to Reclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
This is well, we've got Glimpse in the way, which is a big part of the deck, and I think it's a heavy identity card of elves
Mm-hmm.
through a lot of years. So I think it gets a little bit used to. I don't know. I don't want to say a final verdict on what list is best.
Mm-hmm.
Know because I've played both lists that this list definitely feels better against Delver and Moonstompy, which were a big concern to the regular Reclaimer Glimpse list.
Mm-hmm.
So I think right now this list is where we want to be, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
that.
for anybody who is testing, just I want to say this is a message for you if you are testing this list and it's not working out for you. Well, it didn't work out for me at the beginning, like at all. I remember other pilots like Testacular and like Star Fox, David. They were just having multiple 5-0s, and I couldn't finish the league. I was so frustrated with the list.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe it was a little bit of RNG, but I definitely think you have to change your mindset a little bit more, and maybe the keeps are different also because you don't have like glimpses, a very strong tool to come back from medium hands, I
Mm-hmm.
would say, which this version does not have. It still conserves the BFF engine card draw engine, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not the same. It's much slower.
Mm-hmm.
So every card you play is much more important, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think.
No, I think something that you hit on that's pretty important is you mentioned that you had a hard time initially, and something to keep in mind is Inigo actually tracks every time I update on Discord the stock list, so to speak, which I do about once a month or so. But this for the previous iteration to the current iteration of that changed. Inigo told me that I think like 10 cards changed in the main deck, which is a lot. And also similar to the biggest jump, I would say from the Nettle Sentinel traditional list to Reclaimer is very difficult for anybody who's played the original traditional list before. I would say the jump is comparable because, like I said, not only are you cutting one of the cornerstone cards of the deck, but also in addition to that, there's a lot of other cards that changed, namely the Heritage Druid and Birthright Rangers that facilitate the glimpse chains are cut for mana dork. So you have to almost kind of relearn the different play styles, right? Or play
Yeah,
patterns.
yeah. I think at this point it helps have been, have been a Nettle gamer in the past,
Mm-hmm.
because the dogs were a thing of the past.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely that helped. But how the dorks have been feeling to me is you are relieved when you see a dork and a green sun senate in your opener hand.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to spend the green sun in accelerating,
Mm-hmm.
so that feels so good. And they just are good fodder for Fin Artisan overall.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really nice to what's it called. It's really nice to be able to save your green sun and lead with turn one door. I've actually forgotten how good that has felt overall. So the other thing
Yeah,
is,
and also the one of Kirion, the one of Kirion, very um organic to the dorks. It's like the old BFF, right? It's so good, and
mhm,
it has increased power also with Artisan, because so a line I mentioned you, and it came up, for example, on my Moonstompy matchup when round 3 4, I believe.
uh
It was you had one Artisan and one whatever creature. You can Artisan and 5 mana, so you can Artisan twice, one for Kirion on top, then get another Artisan out,
mhm,
and that means you get like a double pump, not 1+1 1, but +2 2. So if it's a 5 5, you get, so you go from a 5 5 and a 1 1 to 2 7 7s. Probably that's unbeatable to for Moonstompy. So that's a play pattern I've been liking a lot. And also, I think in this list, getting to 4 mana, it's critical also, because we have a lot of, like, basically the strongest activation for Fiend is X equals 3,
mhm.
which would of course, if you can get X equals 8, that's about it. But if you can get X equals 3, you can get Grist, Endurance, or Opposition Agent depending on the matchup. And Kirion paired with Januar Elves and Dryad helps a lot.
Yeah, I think more than ever, the magic number. If you're here to just kind of like look at the deck and see how to beat it, right? More than ever, the magic number now is four because that means either natural order or Fiend Artisan for three, right? Like the big
For a hit there, yeah.
addition, in addition to adding consistency to the deck and speed, because, oops, Inigo, okay, there you go. We have this silver bullet in opposition agent, and granted, it is not fully powered because you don't actually see your hand because MTGO is bugged at the moment, but
Hmm.
it just means that combo has to go underneath you now, and they can usually do so game one, I would say, but it is very difficult to do now games two and three because Thoughtseize helps slow down your opponent, and essentially if your opponent doesn't win by turn, I would say turn three or four, they probably lose the game because Freenard isn't out. Like whereas before they could steal some games late, right? Like just say your hand doesn't have a quick natural order kill, right?
Hmm.
Only because Phenar doesn't get agent or collective is what I mean.
Yeah, I have had some bad experiences in that regard. As in, for example, I think I told you I got a Fear Artisan against an ant opponent, and he just had like the perfect, multi dark ritual hand with no LED required.
uh,
But I guess that just happens. So it's not the usual thing is they can't win with like from that position.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, opposition agent, and it also keeps surprising when sometimes you draw it randomly on your opener, and it's just
Yeah, it's a
lights.
blowout.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, worst case scenario, they have to force it, or they have to
Cloud
commit
in
a
response, right?
removal. Yeah, or commit an instant speed removal to kill it, because it will, some decks cannot come back from losing a land on
Mm-hmm.
turn two, turn three.
Right, right, right. It can be a stone
Um,
rain.
yeah, and then of course, nice interaction on this list with the triple Boseiju is opposition agent out, Boseiju their opponent. That's pretty cool. And then another shout out again for Rodrigo. The third forest here. So I was tracking with a snow covered forest, trademark of the house of Newton, the snow covered forest. Because a matchup that I think, okay, so the matchups I'm most worried about is the ones I cannot play Magic in. For example, losing the die roll into a turn one Blood Moon from my opponent. And if I don't have either a natural forest or a once upon a time to try to search for it,
Mm.
you are probably dead on the spot. Well, I mean, not probably, but you are dead on the spot.
More often than not, yeah.
So yeah, I think the third forest makes a lot of sense. I haven't like I I I play a few leagues with the Lair of the Hydra on the same slot,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't feel my access to black um damaged or hurt. So
Mm-hmm.
I just went for it. I and upgraded the layer to a forest.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it's nice to have layer
Mm-hmm.
on especially on the control matchups,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the deck is already favored enough on those matchups that I'd rather put my extra percentages on having an extra forest for the moon matchup, which is very popular right now.
Yeah, I mean that all makes sense, and I think from what we I recall, I think you said it was very good too, right? It came up.
Yeah, I was tracking, and it was like it came up like uh, both games three times during the challenge,
Mm-hmm.
and in previous leagues a few more times too.
Gotcha. And then I guess before I guess well I'll let you lead. Like, do you want to talk a little bit about the sideboard or just where the deck is headed, perhaps?
Yeah, well, regarding the cyber, I think well, I usually consult you a lot on this
Mm.
because I have my own deck building. My gold. My holy cows, whatever.
Uh
I
huh.
don't. I will never cut my third Boseiju. I just love the card.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, I had some concerns about Masked Vandal, and the fact that other pilots on the Discord are not completely sold on it made me, I cannot be the one that only feeling that it's good. So there's it just made me worry about it, and uh, just because Painter was so popular and Lance is a matchup I respect a lot,
Uh huh.
I just went for the double Force of Vigor, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's a good card, and you're never if if you're bringing it in, you are always happy to draw it.
Right. Right. For sure. I think on that note, I want to actually give Inigo some credit and actually some of the logic behind I guess Mass Vandal, but it actually dates back to during the earlier builds of this deck where I was playing Mesmeric Fiend as just kind of like a pseudo discard spell off Fiend Artisan. Um, it was Inigo actually that and shout out to Jonathan Zhang as well. It was Inigo that actually pointed out to me that said, well, if we go by Jonathan's famous rubric, which is the or metric, which is the words per card, it doesn't quite stack up the same as like opposition agent or gris or endurance, right? For the silver bullets that you can find, and I came around to agreeing with him, and because it doesn't win the game, right? That's the opposition agent, like literally against some decks, is the game is over. And same for endurance, same for gris, and same for collective. Mesmeric Fiend can be beat, and without a removal spell. And similar to that, I did not feel Mass Vandal is along the lines of like opposition agent, endurance, gris. It is closer, in my opinion, to Mesmeric Fiend, which is why I was off the card. What do you think
Yeah,
about
I
that?
I want to say that I think this is a problem specific to Magic Online, that everybody knows what everybody is playing.
Mm-hmm.
So because everybody Googles, we don't have this problem because we are OTPs, so they always know what we are on.
Mm-hmm.
But So it's a big liability. In comparison, for example, during my last paper event, Mask Vandal was, I cannot stress uh, how good it was,
Mm-hmm.
because you're literally paying the full price of the reclamation sage
Mm-hmm.
for a better effect,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been tutored for.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think in paper you always have more time because your opponent is like respecting you more. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe you are leading on a Windswept Heath, on Windswept Heath fetch, Forest get Reclaimer. You could be Green White Depths. You could be, you can fake out more uh, possible decks,
Uh-huh.
even just Forest into Dryad, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have this specific game plan in their mind. So okay, so this is elves, they can get this on this. So I think in in those scenarios where you have much more time,
Mm-hmm.
I would play like, okay, so uh, too long, didn't read. Is like I would play Mask Vandal on a paper event
Mm-hmm.
instead of the second Force of Vigor. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
think it was
completely
so good.
I think it's completely reasonable because the good thing is Fiend Artisan and actually pitches the creature for you, so you're kind of guaranteed to have in the graveyard.
Hmm.
Obviously, people could bring in graveyard hate, but I don't recommend bringing graveyard hate against
Yeah, I think we would be very happy
elves.
to see that.
Yeah, I think if you bring in grave like a Tormod's cripping in elves, I think we're probably gonna be happy to see that from our side. But yeah, anything else you want to go talk about first before we jump into maybe some matches?
No, I think the rest of the list. Well, the only weird card here, I think, is probably the Plague Engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, so the best play I had with it yesterday during challenge. Well, it has two big spotlights.
Mm-hmm.
One, I used it as a removal
Uh-huh.
against Fitch Diary in the top eight. I identified my opponent was like color screwed, and because he played uh, turn one land go
Mm-hmm.
into wasteland greensand for Birds of Paradise.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so and I had a cradle out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, since when are you letting an elf that get a second activation on cradle? If you have a wasteland out, that is signaling something. So I just activated my artisan for the plague.
Mm-hmm.
My,
And
my, my original plan was to bring plague to trade with an Uro maybe, or to get the quaddles out of the board to be able to connect with artisan.
mm-hmm.
But in the end, it helped me to kill the Birds of Paradise, which was fixing color to him, and he just scooped because
Oh
I
wow.
guess his hand was, he didn't have any more mana to play. I
Gotcha. Oh
guess
wow.
color mana.
Yeah, I
And the
think
other highlight was against Delver. Actually, I know you didn't like it in your testing,
uh-huh.
but it was, granted I lost the match, but it was against GPA, and
Uh-huh.
I 2 for, like, I dealt with one Murktide,
Uh-huh.
and then he had an unflipped well, he just played a Delver, so it was unflipped,
Mm-hmm.
and DRC without Delirium.
Mm-hmm.
So I played the Plague Engineer on human. I got a 2 for 1, even if he just dealt with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was okay.
So
Uh,
we had a question from Jason here. How much of the, I guess, event you
yeah,
want to review?
I don't think because it's pretty late in Spain already. So I think I will only review the finals if you're fine with it.
Yeah, yeah,
We
that's
can
fine.
maybe make, or I can maybe make it on my own and upload it later if you want.
Yeah, I
But probably
mean,
today is already late.
whatever is good for you, Inigo. You are
Yeah.
the guest of honor here.
Okay. So yeah,
So
and that was my reasoning with engineer. Also, I think it's pretty good against the Moonstompy, and I know I'm bringing up Moonstompy many times, but I am. It's a deck that sometimes doesn't let me play
more
because
than
of what it
sometimes, a lot
does.
of times doesn't let us play, right? Like
Exactly.
we,
So I am okay to devoting some number of resources to trying to improve my matchup against it.
yeah,
Thank thank you.
I think the matchup. I think Inigo and I have discussed this. I actually think it's pretty even now with Feed Artisan. The problem is the losses feel incredibly bad because you don't get to play Magic at all.
Exactly, exactly. So I wanted to minimize those, and basically, that's why the second force of vigor is there. That's why the third force is there, and that's why the plague engineer is there. And
Mm-hmm.
that's also why I think it's a very good time for Finn Artisan because literally there once it gets out of some range,
Mm-hmm.
it's I mean I won't say it's impossible, because they can have like, I don't know, a confluence, fury, bone crusher, whatever nonsense,
Mm-hmm.
but granted it will require a lot of resources out of them.
Yeah, I think the only time I've seen like Fiend as an answer, I guess there's two, right? Like I've seen, and it always involves dead gone, so they have to bounce it and either have you locked with the magus after you put it in board, or the other way is then they have a chalice on two. But like,
They've been doing that to me a lot lately.
but that's
Yeah, yeah,
again
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of resources, right, to devote to.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I have a
Yes.
screenshot on my
Also,
Twitter.
I
Go ahead.
discussed this with Rodrigo.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks, well, he thinks, and because he has played the deck a lot,
Uh huh.
that the Moonstompy deck is like built to cast spells that are multiples of three. So
Yes.
it's super awkward for them to sequence something of CMC 4 into their curve,
Mm-hmm.
because that means they're probably not playing something relevant on that turn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, I think I saw uh, John Ryan Hamilton mention the same thing where he just wants all threes in the deck, right? Like, because, especially on turn one, right? You want to go like Spirit
Yeah,
Guide,
yeah, turn
Soul
one, sure.
Land into like either Trinisphere or Rabblemaster, right? Like, that's a pretty ideal start for them.
Hmm.
Or
Granted,
Blood Moon.
I was destroyed by the initiative red card in Bologna in the side event.
Uh
I learned about it at a bad time, I
huh.
guess.
Yeah, I actually got
Oh,
destroyed by that card in a league too. I think it's granted I've only seen it when it's good because like obviously they get like turn one against me and it's just too fast, right?
mhm.
But I don't, I'd be curious how what the Moon Stompy players thought of that card.
Yeah, some players play it and other despise it. Like for example, Rodrigo, I know he doesn't like it because it's a 4 CMC card.
Mm-hmm.
So he would rather play any 3-drop threat
Yeah, I
than
also think
the
with Rodrigo because he's such a strong player, I think he'd probably be able to beat most of the players who are not on like wasteland decks potentially screwing him out of a soul land, right? So that also makes a lot of sense because
hmm.
I think he can outplay probably a lot of the control players or whatnot as well. So he doesn't need a
Yeah.
big threat like that.
Okay, so if there are not any other questions, because I think the crop rotation is there for answer lands, snuff
Mm-hmm.
out because free spells are broken, same as
Mm-hmm.
endurance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Thank you, Dustin. And well, Progenitus needed evil, Caracas the same, and that's about it. So I think we can go to review the finals. I lost, granted, everybody knows, but I think it was a super interesting match, especially game two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's go for it.
Little spoiler, I was a little tired because it was like almost 1 a.m. for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a great match, and I don't care of reviewing it. It was good magic.
Mm-hmm. I
I will
think
review it
yeah.
any day.
I mentioned before. I think also either to you and just to our like elf cabal that I would rather lose and learn something, especially in a league setting, than win and just like get nothing out of it. If that makes sense, especially for leagues, right?
Yeah.
Because like that's where I think you um
Okay. I
that's
changed my source. Tell me if you can see the match.
no, not yet. So I think
Yeah.
leagues I use as a playground for testing, right? But we can't see your match yet then at the moment, Inigo.
I think you have to change the source in like connect again, maybe.
Connect again.
Click on the shared. Yeah.
Oh, I see
On
it.
the Discord. Click on the shared portion on the camera. Do you see it?
I do not.
Okay. Give me a moment.
It was. I would assume it's the same source, right? Because well, I guess you're using different windows.
No,
Maybe
because I
that's
have
why.
to change. The event opens and it's a little bit. It's
Mm-hmm.
a little bit annoying. Okay. I already found the mistake. It should be this. Okay. Can you click again? Yeah. We've been having these issues sometimes before with Newton, but should be fixed.
It doesn't look like it's fixed, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Wait me a moment. Does this share? My God. Okay, wait. I will just disconnect the video source and
Sure.
share it again. Probably
Quick
it's
note
better.
also for those who don't know, or just tuning in, Inigo also became the first person to top eight with what we call a nightmare on Elf Street, right? Like essentially the deck being rebuilt around to utilize Fiend Artisan. Oh, I just saw it by the way. It went away.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
So okay, so I can see your screen. I think
Yeah.
chat can as well.
Okay. Yeah. If you find the artisan getting hard to find or expensive, it's because of Newton.
It's funny. Somebody was joking with me because I bought the ticket. Those were like two tickets or whatever each, and they're like I think they immediately went to like five now.
Yeah. Okay. So good news here was like this is game one. I was on the play
Uh huh.
because actually I was not uh I didn't enter the top eight as the eighth seed, but as the seventh.
Uh huh.
So I guess that it was good for me because I beat Fitz Diary. So I was on the play here. Okay. So let's. Okay. So on the play. Yeah. So okay. So I see this hand and I am super happy, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's like a snap
game
keep.
one, I have acceleration. I have inevitability with Shepard and natural order, and if everything else fails, I have artisan. So yeah, this is as you said, a snap keep. Being on the play also with this hand is super good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah,
So
just
I
the
think
turn one
game one,
dork consistency
game one
now.
is yeah. Turn one dork is broken. I mean, every game you start with turn one dork, you've you can feel that things are going in your favor.
Yeah, like they have to bolt it right. Like otherwise they just fall too
Yeah.
far behind.
Okay. So here I could just made a non-lethal hoof. So I rather play um a lethal hoof the next turn. Yeah, turn three is pretty damn fast too. So
Mm-hmm.
I just put everything on board and dare him to have the sort some force.
Mm-hmm. Well, they play
He
Wasteland. Okay, I didn't expect
yeah
that.
he yeah
Something I want to point out to chat too that you didn't mention is you play the Wirewood first because you prioritize the natural order going through with the Shepherd. So you're playing around
exactly
removal
yes
instead of playing around permission.
yes exactly. So if he wants to force it, that's fine. Or if of remove the symbiote.
Mm-hmm.
So just going the slow route here. Maybe there's the argument you can activate artisan, but since I already have the fourth mana in hand,
Mm-hmm.
and my plan is to fetch and step. I don't want to activate for anything else.
Yeah, I think what you're prioritizing is they have to answer the artisan, otherwise you're gonna get a grist, right?
Or if they remove the shepherd, you can get a replacement shepherd and just delay the natural order one turn further. So yeah, this is just pretty straightforward. Just uh, get the arbor, tap four guys, and then go hoofsies. Yeah, so nothing special there. I was very lucky game one that he couldn't play magic, but I think this is actually one of the weaknesses of this build.
Mm-hmm.
After the match, I saw the list, and I
Mm-hmm.
think if okay, so once he gets to do his thing, it is very scary. But at the beginning, probably you have a window like turn three to four to like scam them.
Mm-hmm. So I think
Okay,
one thing
so
I would have done differently is because they had open mana, I'm a little bit of swords on the hoof. So I may have actually taken a different line there. I might actually think about just getting a grist and just like grinding them out, right? With two mana up. But I think
yeah,
the your
but
line
even
is like fine
even
too.
if he plows the hoof, like he's still getting like I don't know down to five.
Yeah, it's pretty bad
and
regardless. Yeah, that's
then
fair.
we have lethal on board,
Mm-hmm.
so he has to have more, even more removal
Mm-hmm.
in the same hand. And no, don't forget this is turn 4, so he had his turn 3, which
Mm-hmm.
he didn't use to he didn't use any removal. So my read was okay, he doesn't have it.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so let's go game 3, which is the real deal. I will load it again and share it with you, reshare. Hopefully I can get it at the first time.
Mm-hmm. Also, we kind of hinted at it, in our own private conversation, but crop rotation actually the value of the card increase in this build too because it just plays so nicely with artisan as well.
Can you repeat?
Oh, I just said the value of crop rotation. We were talking off stream before. The value of the card has gone up too because it plays very nicely with Fiend Artisan.
Sure, I agree. Yes, yeah, it can produce lethals out of nowhere, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
4 mana is pretty like tapping Cradle for 4 or 3 is pretty common. If you
Mm-hmm.
have any other lands out, you are probably good getting to 9.
Yeah. The
Did
other.
you change the source, Newton?
Yeah. Sure.
I'm already sharing.
I don't see it.
Okay, I might be. Wait, I will stop and share again. This is Magic Online trolling me, probably.
It's a
Can you
good.
see
At
it?
least okay, I can see it now.
Okay. Okay,
The
so
other.
this is the real deal. This is a really good matchup, and I reviewed it already with a friend, and I know I made a mistake. I
Mm-hmm.
will let you guys get it for me.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I want to point out too is I don't know about other players, but for me, I've mulliganed a lot less ever since adding Fiend Artisan because you cannot keep hands with Glimpse if you don't have mana, but you can keep some hands that are otherwise short on mana with Artisan.
Yeah. Yes and no. I was so it pissed me so much to lose some games in paper last weekend
Mm-hmm.
because of no mana mulligans that I was adamant in adding the 22nd land.
Yeah, yeah.
So honestly I've been noticing it the flood a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but I rather be flooded sometimes than not playing magic colors.
Yeah.
That's
Also, we have just so many mana sinks now. I think flood is not necessarily a bad thing. Like oftentimes it's okay, and we can and if we do flood every once in a while, I think for the most part we're winning those games.
Yeah. Okay. I will hit play for now. So I think this hand is pretty solid because like we have okay. So here I just opted for mana. My initial line was maybe ramp, just ramp,
Mm-hmm.
but I know I consider at some point okay, it's actually a control deck. Maybe I want to save the green sun for wirewood later,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end I decided no because I didn't want to give him the time, and just took a force. So probably it was better here to lead on Shepherd and dare him to have the removal, which would be win-win, right? Because he would have to use the removal on Shepherd and not on Symbiote or Visio later.
So for what it's worth, if it were me, I would have done the same play you did, which is Green Sun on zero. I just think turn one dork
Yeah,
is
but
completely
we've been
broken.
discussing this line also regarding the Delver matchup, like where, for example, leading with Shepherd sometimes brings you benefit, even um, maybe bigger than ramping the mana because you are forcing them to have the bolt, and if not, the rest of their hand is doing nothing. So I think it's a bet. I don't think this. If you don't have any info, so of course here leading with Shepherd would be best, but both hands have their pros and cons.
So my reasoning there for not going with Shepherd is because Shepherd is only scary if you have mana, right?
Yeah, because you can follow it up the same turn, right?
Right. Because like you're still short mana, even go to turn one Shepherd. Like I think that's actually somewhat of a weak play.
Okay, so here I have the super good top deck. Notable here, Anurag is down to 3 cards,
Uh
and he wins this game. So it's gonna be bad.
huh.
Okay, so here he, I believe he plows the Visio. Oh no, is the Staticaster already? Yeah, is this the one of a Staticaster? So annoying. Ah, and I think he's honestly, I think here he's afraid of the natural order, because
Mm-hmm.
if it was me, I would definitely have gotten the Visio.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would kill
exactly.
the visionary too. I agree. But then the thing is like, you have to keep in mind Honorog. I think his experiences with elves is only the one time he ran through a league with me, and maybe a few other occasions that I probably don't know about. So he is less familiar with the choke points of the deck. So that could be a
Yeah,
reason why.
I don't think we are. I don't think we are familiar. I mean, we are still figuring out how to pilot. At least me.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't blame him at all.
Right, right, right.
Okay, so
Even
here,
the deck right now is like I think the main deck most of the players on this version now kind of agree on the main deck. For the most part, right?
mm,
There may be like
this
maybe
is
one card different at most.
sorry. This is very interesting because I think here he uses Mystic Sanctuary,
Mm-hmm.
but he then said I don't know if it's a misclick or what,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think he gets anything back, which is, or no, this was not the one. At some point he gets, okay, so it is this one. He doesn't get. I don't know what happens here,
Oh,
but
I can
he
explain
chose
that.
not.
I think it's because he doesn't think he can win if trading one for one because you already are up on cards and you're gonna have another visionary.
But what? But it's a free card, right?
It's not free though, right? It because it replaces his draw
So he
step.
rather have the draw step than the ending. That's what you mean?
I think that's possible. Yeah,
Interesting. Very
especially with
interesting.
Staticaster out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this board is pretty bad for me, as it is right now. Yeah, he puts Jorian in hand.
Mm-hmm.
I think I get the Bayou here. Yeah.
Staticaster notably very
For
annoying because it gets around Cabal Pit too if we played that.
yeah. So here, Artisan is just a gift, because it's probably the only one of the only two creatures that lives, or three creatures if you count Endurance, that lives through uh, an Artisan, sorry, a Staticaster. And
Mm-hmm.
here, of course, I decide not to play the Dryad because I know it's gonna the Staticaster is gonna
Kill
chew
it,
it.
right?
Yeah. So what I want is be able to play two and then deal with the Staticaster later with Artisan on a Grist, or somehow make my land drops and
Mm-hmm.
be able to deal with it with the Grist.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty. So I need him to activate it on something else. That's basically it.
No, that makes sense. Also, one thing I want to point out, Inigo, is I mean, obviously I'm nitpicking because you played well throughout the tournament,
Yeah,
but
yeah. We're here for that. I'm fine. Don't worry.
I would not have
Do
tapped the
your thing
Bayou, by the way. I would have tapped the Beseju.
for the Artisan cast.
Right, but that's nitpicking, of course.
Yeah, yeah. You could be representing a follow up Thoughtseize, I guess. Yeah.
Right, you could or end step fatal push or something like that, right?
Yeah, yeah. We've been swapping our sideboard so much that yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here I get a Cradle, which is quite good. So here I want to play the Endurance, which I know is gonna survive. Or no, I activate. Oh wait. So this is when it goes crazy. At this point, I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I don't remember what I did. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm getting a second Artisan, so they stay on board, and Cradle gets pumped up. I mean, it gets you know, I stabilize on mana regarding
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Cradle.
Uh-huh.
And this is the same mistake. It happens later because I will not repeat it, but you will see. Okay, so we have a second Artisan on board.
Mm-hmm.
We pass. I was not feeling bad at this point because I knew he was on a few card count. Okay, so here comes the boom. Yeah, that is a problem. Okay, so here I play the Visio. Here I'm surprised he doesn't respond to the trigger. Like he lets me, he lets me get priority back after casting Visio.
Uh-huh.
But I was prepared to take it because the extra card was totally worth it. So I think now I just follow up with Cradle Grist, minus on, or no, sorry, I think I play Shepherd Grist,
Mm-hmm.
so he can't not respond to the Grist minus trigger.
Right.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems perfectly fine.
So basically, he chooses what I get to sacrifice, right? Because I don't want to trade my artisans.
Right.
And at the end of the sequence, if he activates here, my artisans will be 5/5 because
Mm-hmm.
one will be pitched to the Grist and one will be pitched to the Staticaster. But he surprises me and he doesn't activate Staticaster here. I don't understand why that's happening.
Probably because it doesn't matter, right?
Well, it does because if the artisan is not a 5/5, I mean, I will still attack, right? But it's not. I think it matters actually because the boo is 4/4, right? So he activates his now, which makes it's weird. So at the end, they got to 5/5, and here I want to make sure the boo is out of the board. Attack both to the boo. Send both at the boo. Again, here I was feeling pretty good.
Interesting.
Yeah, somehow I managed to lose this game. You will see.
I'm not sure I would have.
So yeah, here I think here I draw the fetch and the disaster happens.
Well, I
So
guess
he
that's
gets
fine. You get the boo off the board, and then you still have superiority. I'm trying to think if there was anything else you could have done, but
okay. So he gets a Narset, I believe, and then dig for removal. I think it's a plow, no prismatic. So he has 2 prismatics in hand actually. So now he casts 1, and here comes the thing. Okay, so here what I could do is actually no, it's not here. Wait. So here I have, yeah, of course I play this. I play I can play the endurance later. He still has one more prismatic ending. So at this point, I'm already thinking, should I endurance myself and get the grist back again? What do you think? This was really haunting me at this point.
wait, say that again. What was your question?
Endurance myself, even if I lose the creature count for artisan, just to shuffle the grist back in my library and get the grist back again with artisan.
Uh, you don't have mana to do that on the same turn, though, right?
No, I have to cast. I have to cast endurance on their end step and then do it on my next turn.
Yeah, I think you have to take the Narset off the board.
Yeah, that's for granted. But I mean, that's my plan, right? That's what I wanted to do.
I personally would not, only because
Yeah,
I think the
I
way
think
you lose
Luenil
the
is
game is
actually
Earl.
correct. I think Luenil is actually correct because we know he has one more ending, right? He sorry, he recovered one with the second sanctuary, and then he found the second with minus on Narset.
Isn't it 4 mana after Endurance
Yeah,
Exchange?
but it's one turn cycle after, right? So the plan is to cast endurance on their turn, and then when we untap, get grist back. That's if we want to get a 3-drop. What we want to get is a 2-drop, like Luenil suggests, add another artisan. That could have been done this turn because we could have play Janowar, play boss, tap the 3 1 mana producing lands, play endurance, cradle taps for 3, activate artisan on Janowar for a second fiend. That would be perfectly doable in the same turn. Yeah, elf doesn't matter. So I had the chance to either get a second artisan or think about it and max my mana. Another thing that it was worth noting is I am getting super close to to artisan x8. I know I'm not quite there, but I'm close because cradle. So it's 3, 6, 7, 8. Well, I'm 1 mana short. So if I top the Kaland or if I top the Kaland or a cradle, or I could get there. Maybe Kyrian. Okay, so I get this, and I didn't play the endurance on their end step, um, because they didn't do anything. I know they have another prismatic and they didn't cast it. So I was worried because I know Anurag usually likes to play Uros holding priority when he has 7 mana, so he can do everything at the same time. Um, so I say, okay, this is the last turn. I can do it. So I can delay the endurance
Mm-hmm.
to for graveyard control. So I chose not to cast it, and that could be a mistake. But I don't think I had the. I don't know if I had all the info. So there are so
Mm-hmm.
many possible lines. Of course, now it's easy to say, but it was not so clear to me. So for because I didn't cast the endurance, now I cannot get to activate artisan for hoof,
Mm-hmm.
and now is when I fuck up. Exactly. So here I do this, and I'm giving him priority, and here, yeah, this is the disaster.
I'm kind of surprised. Okay, so that's the interesting part, right? I wonder why he didn't do that first before you got a chance to.
Yeah, I don't know that. So that surprised me a lot, because I mean he could have done it uh,
End step, yeah.
in his end
Jason's on
step,
the.
so it will affect all my turn. So I wouldn't have the chance to activate Artisan in the first place. He also had one prismatic ending up that he would have used, but he didn't. So I guess his hand is dress down prismatic something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I had multiple. I could have won. Like if I cast the endurance here on the
Mm-hmm.
on his end step, he would probably activate dress down. Hence, I wouldn't be able to to activate Finatisan for hoof.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't know. So yeah, this is just a misplay. There's nothing to say about it. I should have not fetched and gave him priority. I should have activated artisan first on January elves.
Mm-hmm.
So even if the dress down resolved, and I know he had one more prismatic. So that was it. Now my artisan will not activate for this whole turn,
Mm-hmm.
and he will untap and prismatic my artisan without me having the chance of multiplying the artisan.
Yeah, yeah. I think Jason brought it up earlier. There's a good argument to just double the artisan count on the previous turn because
Yes.
I don't think we want to. It's like a general rule of thumb for elves is you do not want to waste mana, and I think we did waste mana the previous turn.
Yeah, no, you will waste mana for multiple turns, but this graveyard is scared me, because it scares me a lot, because,
Mm-hmm.
as I said, right, I know he likes to play Uro escape it on the same turn when he has 7.
Mm-hmm.
That graveyard is more than enough to escape Uro twice, or two different Uros, or cast one, or cycle two,
Right, right.
whatever. I know he likes to do this. I know he plays 4 boos also, so it's not, you know, it could be he follow up with a second boo, pump this to 7, and I would be in trouble too. I don't know. So I guess I was playing scared at this point,
Uh-huh. I mean, it
because
happens. It was already late at night for you. I
yeah,
think the
yeah,
other thing is there is a chance the turn that we killed the boo that might not have been the right play. I feel like we should not have lost a planeswalker.
the grist.
Yeah, like I feel like that's probably not the right play.
Uh, no, no, I think it was correct, because he could have just thrown the boo at our face, right?
No, he could have, but I think there was an alternate line, right? Like I think we could have grist tick down, hit the boo, or actually what we could have done. Yeah, we could have not killed the Staticaster. Like it wasn't really. I think we can beat a Staticaster. Like
Yeah, with two artisans, you mean?
yeah. So that's the. Yeah, that's what Jason and I are trying to say. I think there is a chance we kill the boo, take the sorry, kill the hamster, take Mince down, and then Static Caster can attack, and then we can just plus after that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You are right. So here again, I'm thinking because I topped the Cassiniat, I'm thinking about endurance in myself, getting the grist. I'm also counting mana to get hoof. So this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if Anurag had dressed down in hand already, I don't know what he had at the time, but um, that just loses the game for sure.
Yeah, I mean he was keeping he
But I felt
that
like
we
if he
know
had it in hand, he probably would have already done it.
yeah, he had a prismatic that we know of, and he didn't use it on the turn
Mm-hmm.
because I mean he recovered it and then he didn't use it. So I said okay, he must have something, right?
Mm-hmm.
He must have something because there's no way you don't. It's sorcery speed. Why are you not casting the removal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here's just a train wreck from here. I just all the card advantage I had. I've the terminus take it with it.
Yeah,
Took it
Terminus
with it.
does do that.
Yeah.
It's after all these years, it still is getting us right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but in Anurag's favor, I knew I was playing against it
Uh
because
huh.
when he won the challenge last week, I checked out the list.
Mm-hmm.
So the same as I knew he was playing two Misty Sanctuary. So I know there wasn't a third one coming here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I had some info on his list. I
Is
know
it
I
the
was
exact same list he played last week?
I don't know, but I don't know, but I didn't know the numbers, but I know I was facing Terminus for sure.
Gotcha, gotcha.
For what
Okay.
it's worth.
See,
Okay,
I
so here
probably would
again,
walk into a Terminus because I just expect that. I thought that card was distinct.
yeah. Okay, so I mean, I hear I still have hope, right? Because not that bad. I think I get Arbor, swap it into an Endurance to get rid of the Uro because yes,
Yeah, he has
and
six cards
then
in hand already.
yeah, I mean, it's very unlikely I win from here, but have to do what I have to do, and then this is a disaster.
Okay, I'm trying to see what happens here. Did he have
Yeah,
another static caster?
he's dressing. Yeah, he's really cool. Oh my god. He dressed down the artisan, so one trades with the Jorion, plows the other, and then I lost my 2/7/7s. I would have gotten okay. What does Jason say here? I would have gotten Grist back into deck and into play. Yeah, that's a line I was thinking all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I was not tilted, but I felt like I missed my window after the fetch misplay.
I think if Anurag plays it correctly there, I think we would not have had that opportunity to, for what it's worth. So I think it was a misplay on both sides.
I mean, he might not know all the new interactions, but I think he knows the basic of the deck, and he understands the how the deck works, and he targets very well he times very well his removal and his dress downs.
Mm-hmm.
So I think here I just concede because I already I
How did we
didn't
lose
want
the
to time
artisan?
out.
They dressed down. Did we attack into the Yorion?
The dress down blocked. I attacked with one, so I
Oh, okay.
activated for endurance to clean Uro,
Uh huh.
and with the untapped one I attacked. They dressed down and traded with the Jorion, so 1 for 0.
Mm-hmm.
And then here I think I just concede because I am
Yeah, you're too
concerned
far behind.
I don't have I am concerned I will not have
Time to
time
finish, right?
to yeah exactly. So I think I just concede from here. I get it one more draw step and I concede. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And now game 3, you're not gonna like it. Yeah. Yeah, game 3, I think I get the bad side of variance, but I think that's what it is. I'm actually very happy with my finish, so I will I will not make
No,
any comment
second
at
place.
all.
I think this is your highest finish ever, right, Inigo?
Yeah, it's my first finals on a challenge,
Yeah.
so
See, so
I'm pretty
it's
happy.
very. I'm very happy for you.
I was, okay. I was a little sad yesterday because I think I lost to myself. Honestly,
Uh-huh.
I had a chance, but I mean, it was like 1 a.m. I had to get up to work today, so it was,
I mean, don't beat up yourself. Second place is
exactly.
very
No, no.
good.
I'd rather be happy. I'd rather be happy for a second place than sad about losing the finals. That's how I see it. So again,
This is a snap
um,
heat,
uh,
yeah.
exactly. So this is all in super fast Progenitus, which I very much like to see.
So if blue players start to randomly force our turn one play, I think the counter play is we just cut our shepherds from our deck.
Y- Yes, or lead with them. So yeah, there's not much to see. You will just see something, a very very sad elf player in no time. So I just Progenitus and
Oh,
he
Inigo.
forces. Okay, wait.
So I probably would not have made that play.
You mean the pitch in the arbor instead of the shepherd? I thought
No,
about
I
that
mean
too.
I think given that Fiend Artisan is and Once Upon a Time and Endurance are in your hand, I
Yeah,
probably
I
would
should.
make a different play.
Mm,
I would probably lead with the Artisan there and pass
yeah, I was also thinking about that.
because they have two open mana.
Yeah, and because it also represents lethal hoof next turn.
Mm-hmm.
But I was concerned about my time, and my last experience last game was okay. I might not be able to grind out this deck because of the four sets, yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, I just I made a call here, and I decided going for it. Granted, it was not good, but yeah, I mean I made that call. So I thought I know this is not lethal, and it's lethal through 2 turns,
Mm-hmm.
while hoof, sorry, 3 turns. The turn you cast the NO, and then 2 attack steps.
Mm-hmm.
And the other line is actually faster, but I think he has the cards that answer NO hoof are more cards answer NO hoof than NO progenitor. So I was daring him to have it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here, look, yeah, just look it for yourself. Yeah, there it is. So and step brainstorm into Terminus, and okay, so a very sad elf person right now.
Yeah, I think there is a chance that yeah we also just Once Upon a Time if we know he has Terminus in the deck, I think there is a chance we just Once Upon a Time try to dig for Visionary too.
I couldn't once upon a time. I had 1 mana only, so
No,
I
you
got
cast four
I
mana, right? For natural order.
sorry.
So you spent 4 mana for natural order. I think there's a chance you cast 2 mana for the Once Upon a Time, and then see what we draw there. And
Oh,
then if
you
we
mean before the casting the
natural
NO? You
order,
mean?
yes.
Yeah. But I think that choice was already made. My mana was already set. So I was decided on resolving the NO by killing the because okay. So one thing I thought, I discussed with a friend also,
Mm-hmm.
is okay. So he forced my turn one play, right? He forced my mana dork.
Uh.
So what are the chances that he forces my NO? Like he has to have again force plus blue card, right?
Mm-hmm.
After that. So I was thinking, okay, maybe I want to actually pitch the shepherd. So if something goes wrong, like dress down or whatever, I was not thinking of Terminus right there.
No, I
But
don't think you can.
he
I don't think you can afford to not.
not yeah, get your NO countered.
Yeah, I don't think you can afford that to happen.
Yeah, but what I don't think I think this was top decked. One of these, either two, was top decked.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he kept a hand with the double force, double Narset. But yeah, that play was really all in. My time was already ticking, and it was one
Yeah,
a.m.
you were under the clock, so I
And
understand that too.
I was not, I was not feeling at my best after last game because of the, because of the misplay with the fetch.
Mm-hmm. I think worse
So
mentioning
yeah,
that
that's about it. I think that the rest is just not fun to watch.
Yeah, I think the game was really the two turns that matter were turns three and four. There, I think turns three you probably could wait like with the Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, probably
Depending
yes.
what we draw, I think if it's a visionary, I'd probably slam that and commit three to the board, right? If we don't draw anything relevant, I think we take the chance and play the artisan there because they forced earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so here they just go full turbo mode. Yeah, this was really cool. So he put one damage on my artisan,
Uh
then
huh.
play a static caster, activate for one. So that was really cool for Anurai.
Yeah, he had a
But
lot of
yeah,
the little interactions line up for him in the post board
yeah,
games.
because the static caster is a one of, right?
Well, no, I'm not even
Alright.
talking about that. I'm talking about being able to combine it with like the dress down, and then being able to
Oh yeah,
combine
yeah.
with.
That's why I say that's not something specific to elves. It's just so okay. So I know I was playing someone who is better at magic than me. That's I mean it's that simple.
Mm,
So sometimes your deck can overcome if you are a slight underdog, but
mm.
this at this point it was not possible.
Yeah,
So
I
here
think
I
what.
was. I even thought about evoking the hit to cast the VCO, but
No,
I
that
already
doesn't win
knew
the
I
game,
lost.
right?
It was just useless. Yes.
I think the tough part is we're just stuck on lands now, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. So everything coming right now, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I should have. So that's what I'm thinking about. Maybe I should have cast Shepherd or I don't know. So here I finally decided to do this and Green Sun for a Reclaimer. But yeah, this is like there's nothing valuable here to see, Newton. I guarantee.
I think
Okay, so
if there's any takeaway, probably in terms of like deck building, there is like I've thought about the second grist like on and off. I've never played it because I just don't think we need it against control again in most situations. But if you are struggling with control, I think it does help.
yeah, yeah, especially with Artisan because Artisan makes it so easy
Yeah, it's
to
like a
fetch.
combo, right? Like with artisan.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Also, this, yes. So you're not getting bodies on the graveyard, but you have endless sacrifices to make. So that's pretty
Right, and
cool.
at some point also, if they just don't answer the grist, like those insect damage adds up really quickly, right? Because it's exponential.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so that's it. That's it for me.
I guess we'll bring up the deck list real quickly again, Inigo, and then we'll ask chat
Yeah.
if they have any questions for either you or me.
Okay. Um,
Also,
okay.
shout out to Inigo. It's probably the correct call, but I'm not like 100% sure. He played, and he suggested to me that we, because for the longest time I just said I don't think we need Plague Engineer. Like, what do we even care about, right? Like, out of the meta decks that are soft to engineer, um, like I know Elves and D&T are like two of the popular decks according to Moto, but most of the elf decks that do well are of the reclaimer variety, which can beat an engineer. And also that version is just weaker to agent anyways. D&T, I think we are pretty favored. So again, I didn't feel like we needed engineer, but Inigo also convinced me that I think Plague Engineer just is like too good against like random stuff.
yeah, and it also, if nothing else, is it's a very good blocker, extremely good blocker. So it can consistently attack through a Murktide too. I don't think they will trade with it. You can name human also on the Delver matchup, so they cannot play Delvers. And if you play it and you threaten to evoke an endurance or get a bog out of the reclaimer, you can also wipe them.
Mm.
For me, it's still being tested. It's not it's not locked or anything, but I think it's worth trying at the very least.
Yeah, no,
Jaumoth when?
I think so for sure. The other thing is like even if none of the meta decks are like soft per se, outside of D&T, I guess, to engineer, it is good randomly against like Cephalid Breakfast. It's like randomly good if you in the early rounds and you pair into like a Nettle Sentinel player. It's potentially good against Welder, right? Like if you can't beat their double Welder activations or whatnot. It's like randomly good like in a lot of situations, and I think Inigo sold me on the one copy in the sideboard.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still trying to find something like. So um I want to take bring back something of the some unfairness of the glimpse. I'm still trying to think something. I thought about Silvan Library, but Newton doesn't really like it. I don't know. I think this deck needs something. There's something we're missing. I know it. We'll find it.
So we had a good question from have Boa Vita.
Uh,
Uh,
Ourselves, you have yes. I we talked about it at the beginning when we went through the deck list. And I think engineer is so good against like okay, so it trades with any of the threats, ideally a fury. It completely eliminates the uh, token threats, and if you are on a stable enough position, you can even stay back with it. So he knows he can win through token beats.
yeah, I think if nothing else, it trades with Rival Master, right? And that's probably the scariest card at the moment in the deck. Like Fury.
I would say Fury on board is my most
Yeah, yeah. If they
scary
hardcast Fury,
enemy.
you're probably losing the game. But like, I think
Yeah.
under most circumstances, before this deck would be a huge underdog against Fury. Like Inigo knows, like, um, the
Oh,
problematic.
I beat.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I beat the other day. I think I mentioned you. I beat a Moonstompy deck that he played literally turn one Fury for one Arbor.
Mm-hmm.
Then I played land. I played so he went turn one Fury turn one Fury Chalice.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went Shepherd, whatever, and then he went turn two another Fury. Okay, so that is a big investment from him, but it also he dealt with my Shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't play one drops and I still won that game thanks to Fiend Artisan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the matchup I
Oh,
would say.
you have York here, nice.
I would say that's the matchup that has been most turned around by Artisan. Like, I, I like joke. It's not even a joke. It's actually actuality. I tweeted out like, uh, list of matchups that have been improved by playing Artisan, right? And I pretty much said every single one because like I don't think I've seen a card impact the deck the way that it has across the board since Reclaimer and Once Upon a Time. Like even Allosaurus Shepherd, I know a lot of blue players complain about the card. It is like terrible in creature matchups, but then Reclaimer and Once Upon a Time added consistency to the deck, and I think Artisan does that. While also
Yeah, because it adds redundancy, right? And easy access to key cards.
it allows the deck to actually go wide, without having it to be progenitus, right? Like against these Fury decks,
Mm.
like you can just go make a 10-10 now, and they can't beat it.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. So first of all, here we have a message from a viewer. Yeah, and he's also actually right. So Newton, could you hover your mouse in the next to the runkor signal? There's a little arrow that goes downward. You can click it on the Discord, and then the little preview windows in the bottom will collapse down. So you will be able
where is that?
to
Is it
have
this? Nope.
no. There's in the middle. There's like one arrow that goes down in top of the R. There's like one little guy and a little arrow.
Where is that?
On my logo,
Oh,
just
there you
where
go.
where it
Okay, I
says yeah.
apologize.
Yeah, no problem. I
Thank
didn't
you,
realize either.
CH
Thank you.
Fuller, for that.
Yeah, and then regarding Georg and Lunel, yeah. So I also discussed this with Newton, and when I remember it was a 5-0 from Romario. Actually, he
Mm-hmm.
played with Ramon. I don't think he had Ramonati, but he had mainly Wasteland. We
Mm-hmm.
were again testing the 22 land count,
Mm-hmm.
and it was mainly Wasteland felt randomly very good.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the problem, or not a problem, because I will test it. I like to test everything, but the concern is becoming too much. G- too too graveyard dependent, right? So we already have artisan that it's graveyard dependent to for it to be a threat.
Mm-hmm.
Granted that it's a tutor anyways, but
Uh-huh.
we don't want to lose the big body.
Mm-hmm.
Reclaimer is also somehow graveyard dependent, depending what matchup are we facing. So if we put Ramon up again, probably will prompt a lot of fate, and it will turn off a lot of good cards from us. I don't know. Maybe it's worth it. I really like really like recursive wasteland. That's
Yeah,
something I really
it's
like.
like an interesting angle for sure. And Wasteland is a card we played, in the past before Besager got printed because
Hmm.
it deals with like Glacial Chasm. You can crop rotation for it.
Yeah,
It does do a few different things. It's drawn out of ramp decks, right? The thing is,
yeah.
I have not really had an issue against Post ever since. Well, two things: one, the printing of Beseju, and two, they cannot be opposition agent like at all.
Mm.
Like they have to have
Yeah,
the what is
what
it
yours
called? The
says also
Ulamog.
makes sense
Mm-hmm.
because we don't have to invest the Senate on ramping. We can either use it to find the Ramunap after ramp,
Mm-hmm.
or just hardcast it if we had it in hand with turn two with Dorks. So maybe it's worth
It could be worth it.
exploring.
Like I definitely liked Raminat in the past. I'm just curious if it's what's the word I'm looking for? If we need to solve any particular problem with the card because the deck, like I know one of the worst matchups for us, I think New Year's resolution, right? Like to address the lands matchup.
Yeah,
Um,
true.
so last year we were able to in 2021 address the Doomsday matchup, and I actually think I feel pretty confident in a. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, Delver got bit, nerf. Doomsday will run rampant." I'm not so sure about. I think Elves is like a Doomsday killer, and um, yeah. So Jason kind of hit on it. It's just like, is it win more or are we helping a already favorable matchup? Because for those who don't
Mm.
know, I like to address the weaknesses of the deck. So I know this is like counter to what a lot of people do. Like they try to make their 50-50 matchup 60-40. I do the opposite, right? Like I try to get those 30-70 matchups into the winnable range, like into the 50-50 range, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Yeah, but I think that favors you personally a lot because you most of the time, if the matchup is 50-50, there's a good chance you can outplay your opponent.
So that yeah, that depends on the player too. I would say that I would agree with that.
So something that also occurred to me, instead of adding the 20-second land, we could also add one of loam, but I don't know how good that could be
So the
because it
loam
will.
has the problem I think where it's kind of like a Ramanat but not a creature, right? But I
Yeah.
think it's like worth testing, but definitely brings some cool lines, but also makes us softer to graveyard hate. Like we're probably already borderline whether people want to bring in graveyard hate against us.
Yeah, I mean it's yeah, I think it's something I will work on this week and the
It does
following.
grow artisan and it does grow reclaimer, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also a 2-drop, and I kind of feel like goblins now, right? Like the 3-drop spot is very crowded.
What I like about the loam is,
Mm-hmm.
you can get it. You can, depending on the game, if your mana is getting taxed a lot or not,
Mm-hmm.
you can just get it back as value. Okay, you need to you are missing. You're about to miss a land drop. You activate it. If you don't, you just don't do it. So
Mm-hmm.
you have the chance, and it's always there for you. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Let me think what else. Oh, one thing we discussed
Um.
was the visionary count.
Yeah.
I
So
think
yeah,
that number can.
this slot is the next to be cut probably.
I do think two is probably enough. Like I think the third one we don't really need. Like the matchups are just so fast now. It's just like spend 2 mana to draw a card is not where I want to be personally.
Yeah. So what would you include if you were to cut the third Visio?
I told Inigo because we were discussing this because he wants like we discussed Sylvan Library, right? Like how to add more payoffs to the deck, uh, in case you just don't draw all the mana or just don't draw natural order, right? Like I think the fourth Once Upon a Time is like a pretty nice compromise because like you can dig into like Wirewood or Visionary or like a Fiend Artisan.
Yeah, the problem about the well, not the problem, the concern about the fourth Once Upon a Time is maybe fourth Once Upon a Time and 22 lands. That is just nonsense. I don't know.
Also, shout out for Julian for the raid right now.
Oh,
I
thank you.
know.
Yeah, actually, I added the command, so you can just write SO. It's Julian.
Okay,
Yes,
so
there we go.
oops. Yeah, I think for those who don't know, Julian was actually streaming not the exact list, but very close to it earlier. Hopefully the stream went very well, Julian. Yeah, so that's the thing about Once Upon a Time, right? Like
Yeah, but it's so good. We keep coming back to try it. It's so
when
funny.
you
You
have it, it just feels like cheating.
every iteration of the deck when we have one flex slot, it's like maybe Newton or me. Hey, should we retest the fourth Once Upon a Time? What about it?
Yeah, so Inigo is spot on, right? Like no matter what changes we've made to the deck, right? It's all one of the questions that always reappears is three or four Once Upon a Time correct?
Yeah, I
Um,
think it's honestly three. The
it
fourth
probably
is
is.
kind of clunky. Oh, Stencil. Fourth season was amazing. I went 6-3 sadly, but I was very happy, and I have already booked my December trip there. So yeah, we'll be back again soon.
Wait, are you telling me, Inigo, that Four Seasons has one big event every season?
Yes.
That's pretty funny. Actually, since we have everybody coming in from Julian's stream now, anybody have any questions for Inigo or myself regarding the list that we posted here is the Inigo's top two slash finals list from yesterday's Legacy Challenge, right?
Yeah, and also any ideas are welcome too. Since
Also,
Julian
actually,
also gave you the idea or the guidance to come back to the dorks.
mhm.
Um, if anybody has any you know Elvis instincts, how could we include some more explosiveness to the deck? Because I think the games the if this deck uh assembles its pieces, this version it's very strong. But if it's dealt with like the first 2 or 3 turns you are plotted by removals, it has a hard time stabilizing and doing its thing. So how I see it, maybe for example against control or something like this, if you get to resolve a library and then you pay all your life to get 3 cards, that might be a way to come back, but maybe that's too optimistic. I don't know.
I mean, it's definitely a threat, like, but more so against the control decks, I think. Carpet, I would say.
These are, excuse me, guys. So this is actually the problem Nescat, the Vicio, and then Wasteland, Ramunap, and Loam, and our cards we are discussing. So these are the maybe. This is like the maybe board.
Also, while we have, since a lot of people here are coming from Julian's stream, I also want to give Julian some credit here too. A lot of people know Julian has played Elves for a long time and has had a lot of success, but with regards to this version, he and I actually, I think he mentioned also on his stream earlier, but he and I actually discussed the artisan build during its infancy, and I had the idea already, but I just needed some extra push. And Julian was the one that said, "Why don't you just cut the Heritage Druid because they're kind of bad for the mana dorks?" And I want to thank Julian actually for that. He was the one guy that really pushed for it. So that's his stamp on the deck, so to speak.
Yeah. Plus we get to play it sweet seventh edition. Yeah, I know what else, right?
Yeah, for sure. The seventh edition is the nice version, obviously. Um,
Yeah. Okay, so we were on what would you put on the like on the third VCO slot? Sorry.
I currently am just trying to save a sideboard slot with the crop rotation main. So that's what I ran last night to a 4-1 finish. I diversified, but Inigo likes Landlord Elves.
Yeah, I am. Sorry, I'm a fan of the what else. So
But I played the yeah. So I run from this list, right? Like, I just played 4-1 last night. I lost to Moon Stompy that just had like the nuts against me. They won game one and game three on the play. Just like I just didn't get to play Magic, right? Like, essentially Blood Moon turn one or Trinisphere turn one, and I just lost the game on the spot more or less. And then, but I played the crop rotation main over the third Visionary, and then I'm more conservative with my mana, so I only run two Beseju. I also run the Lair of the Hydra, which has been decent.
mana, it's a mana ability, so it's not gonna get pity needled.
But for right now at least, I think Inigo and I are pretty in lockstep with regards to deck building. Like a lot of the a lot of the differences, even I don't really have any issue with any of the differences like Inigo has compared to mine. Like I've
Yeah,
never.
I think it's more, I feel I am not so, I don't feel safe against the, evil married lage players. So I really, I really appreciate having the third Boseiju,
Yeah, it
and the
definitely
third
helps a lot.
forest is, respect to Moonstompy, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think if there's
So
anything else. Oh, go ahead. I'll let you go.
yeah, no. So Lunel says we're working about Finale. Yeah, Finale. The good thing about Finale is it actually searches your graveyard as well, right?
Oh, I
Should
forgot
have it
about
on
that. That's
here.
actually pretty relevant.
Yeah, Finale search. I think it searches everything. Let me just read the card.
I just the
Search your
only thing
library
is
and
like
or graveyard. Yeah, exactly,
the
exactly.
only thing is it feels a little bit too inefficient for us, and we're already super mana hungry. Is the only thing. Uh, ide- well, also ideally the whatever we add would be a creature because like especially what I noticed is like after cutting glimpse, the deck feels like it plays a lot smoother for what it's worth.
Yes, because you don't have to make those. You don't have to pass those during those turns where it would be a glimpse for one. So I think your curve is just better. To answer KBB, I think the matchup is get if you are playing main deck opposition agent, you are probably favored because it's like you have natural order, which is a 4 mana kill con, and you have also turn two artisan into turn three activation for three, which is
Mm-hmm.
also basically a win.
Yeah,
An
yeah,
elf
yeah.
deck that can tutor is
The other
I
thing
mean
is
he can glimpse, but
the other thing is if we have engineer in the sideboard, that is a beating for the Neto version too.
yeah, exactly.
I typed it in the chat here. I think I would put Neto as probably favorite. Again, a lot of this also depends like who has turn three natural or who's on the play too, right? But I would say holistically at least, I would say the Neto version is probably favorite game one, but not favored post board.
Yeah. Also, snuff out the black force of will against the green decks, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Essentially, the black force of will, like you said, right, against creature decks.
So good. So yeah. How about the 60th card on the main deck here? So if we were to cut the VCO, what would you add?
For right now, I'm playing crop rotation until it fails me, right? Like
Hmm. So
it,
you
it,
would
it
move crop to the main deck, and then that frees up one slot in the sideboard.
right.
I guess it has to be an anti-combo card, maybe.
I haven't worked out the numbers, so the way I often do this is like I'll reverse engineer into like what I need, like based on the mapping, right?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's another thing. Yeah, I think that's something uh very that you do that is very very good that you, any change you make to you make to the main deck, you will identify how it's affecting your sideboarding and then adjust accordingly and not like by feel or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
just see what matchup have you lost the slot against and then adapt.
Yeah, I usually speaking of that, like I know Inigo's big on numbers, and a lot of the advancements that we've had in the deck are numbers driven. But I also, me personally, I like to go on feel a lot too. And thank you for the gift subscription. But
Thank you, Gu.
what was I gonna say? Oh, I like if I win, but I feel like my opponent misplayed. For example, I would definitely factor that in as well. Like, for instance, Reanimator comes to mind. Like recently, I've been kind of like getting lucky with wins against Reanimator because my opponent misplayed. So I'm not gonna let that like inflate the numbers too much because I know I kind of got lucky, right? My opponent misplayed, and then I won as a result. So I felt like I needed more help against Reanimator. And
Yeah,
the verse, huh?
that's funny because actually Yorick at one point requested me that we added a checkbox in the spreadsheet
Hmm.
to nullify the matchup if the opponent blatantly misplayed,
Yeah, I
so
think
it
that's
wouldn't count
helpful.
for the. That's actually quite funny.
Because like you don't want to get this false sense of security, right? Like
Hmm.
if your opponent misplayed, whether it be in a challenge or even a league, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously there's
Okay.
small misplays, I don't count things like that, but if it's like a blatant misplay, then it's different.
How do you feel about Kyrian Ranger in the crop rotation? So Kyrian has been so good to me, and I think it works. It works amazing in tandem with Dorks.
You mean a second one?
Yeah. So let's just keep the cyborg as is, and maybe up one more Kyrian. I also think up in the elf count is good for our brand.
It does. The one thing I do like about the card rotation is it saves up a cyber slot, which is what
Yeah, yeah, that's
I
quite
discussed
good
with
also.
Jason, right? Like, I think we got a question from Jack too. Silverback Elder, like, which one is that one? Let me.
This is from Dominaria, if I'm not mistaken. It's a 4 or 5 drop that every time you play a creature, you have a disenchant effect or gain for life.
Yeah, see, I feel like a lot of times, like, keep in mind the history of the deck too. We played Archon of Valor's Reach, and it's fitting that we have Inigo on here because he was the one that because we're talking about data, right? Like he was the one that told me I don't think Archon is like good enough anymore, and you know, before I picked up my jaw off the floor, right, I went back and luckily at this point I had taken Inigo's advice and tracked my own data, and the number of kills, you know, facilitated by Archon was actually not as high as I would have liked. And that's how actually why we moved away from that card. And I'm not sure if a lot of these other options are better than Archon, to be worth just to
What I
justify
like
worth
about
playing.
this is that is just hard castable and a good body.
That's
That's
true. 5 man is one less, but
no, it's actually yeah. It's I also like the ramping effect. I mean, I don't know. It could be worth exploring.
it
It's 5 mana though. I mean,
5 man is a lot.
it could definitely help my clunky enchantress matchup. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Live gain that that's something I've been thinking about. That we don't have a tool to gain to come back once
uh,
we lost life. So and I don't think Scavenging Ooze is
I don't think 70 is
I
playable.
no, it's not playable. So but the problem is if you are casting a 5 mana card,
Hmm.
how many more one drops are you gonna have in hand? Probably that's pretty late game.
That's
So
true too. I think actually the card that I would, yeah, I don't know, I don't think it's good, but like if you want life game, there's that new card from the set that is a 2 drop. Like whenever a creature enters, you gain 2 life. Maybe that's worth like testing if you really want a life gain spot. That also ramps.
yeah, could be. Yeah, but JKBB Newton told me something. 3 card combos, creature combos are not good.
Or at least we try to refrain from it, right? Like
Yeah,
sometimes
excuse me. There might be good, but it's hard to
put
low
together, yeah.
consistency. Low consistency.
Yeah, so
So
Jason just kind of like linked the card, right? Like I don't know how good this card is. I actually don't think it's good. Otherwise, I would have tried it. But I think if you want a
hmm
life gain card, it's like interesting enough, right?
okay. So this is
Because at least it
from
ramps too when you don't
Capena,
need the
right?
life gain.
Yeah, yeah. I remember. This is the one that it had multiple prints from for every region or language, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's at least
Yeah.
survives in the festivities, right? Like,
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
and it actually
Cool, cool,
grows
cool.
big like as well. So I think it is if you are interested in a life game slot, that's probably what I would start with, only because it's
So
2 mana, right?
I know Jorg doesn't want to. So what he prefers is to move opposition agent side. I think that's what was testing. Opposition on the side and then the Ramun up on the waist on the main.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also reasonable. But opposition agent main for me, it's we should track more the scoops to opposition agent. I would review my data later. because the game one scoops to opposition agent have been significant.
So that's the funny thing too. That I think it's a little bit hard to track because some people will scoop on the spot, and others will play it out, and then you actually win with something else. So that I think that's a little bit tricky to track. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because also sometimes it's not they don't scoop on the same term, but for example, if you steal, like, I don't know, if you steal the last grindstone from a painter player, if you steal the shadow spear from a saga, some
Hmm.
things like that might be the um, the reason for your win, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or for the loss, however you want to put it.
I guess what I can do is like think about when I track the data, right? Like if I think opposition agent really won the game, then I'll probably instead of putting hard cast natural order, I'll probably just put agent, even though that's not really what even though I really want natural order. That makes sense.
True. Okay, so that's it for me. If you want to play a league, since you have a nice audience right now, maybe you want to keep the string going, Newton.
I think if I do stream, it'll be later tonight.
Or later,
Only because I'm
sure.
technically on the clock for work right now, or I took a a longer break to do this with you, Inigo.
Oh,
I'm more
thank
than
you.
happy
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
obviously, but
Because because of the time zone difference,
exactly. But
appreciate it.
so going back to Jack's question about the three card combo, I agree it's not a three card combo. I just wonder, like how often, like I don't really like having high, like even like the six three drops that we have feel like pretty high to me already, right? Like against Delver, I guess it's five, right? Four endurance and then one grist. Like I don't know if I want a five drop that I draw and just like cannot cast. It's the only thing. Right, like I really value the deck being able to essentially getting to play Magic because my experiences at least, and I think Inigo will agree, is whenever we get to play Magic, I would bet on our deck to win.
Yeah, I think if we have a solid turn one and two, we stabilize on turn three, four, mm, without even counting the cheated wins with natural order. I think the deck has a really good chance of uh, at least the tools to fight most of scenarios. That's what I mean.
Like if we get Tendrils of Agony turn one, then yeah, of course we lost, right? Or like turn two, they have
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
Brand. There's nothing that we can do about that. But like I think any kind of longer game, we should be favored. I think outside of maybe potentially locked out by. I'm trying to think of the scenarios where like long games where we lose, and I think the only thing that really comes to mind is like maybe a Esperval player has some kind of lock that I'm just like not familiar with and just like accidentally got locked out. Or two, maybe like a Lance player like has Tabernacle and we don't have the hand to play through it, right?
Mm. Chalices were nice. Surprisingly nice. For me, they were more like a force magnet than anything else. And they also randomly won me a game against, well, not randomly, of course, but they won me a game against Reanimator, and I was not playing any Leylines um, on that variation of the sideboard, so
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty nice. I think it's just another card, and it's just good for our for the health of our deck that we are testing and swapping things on the sideboard, so the Storm players go crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Next time a Storm player googles me, he will find a 5-0 list with two chalices of the void.
Yeah, I will always change my sideboard. A lot of people know this already, and I've seen complaints like Cyrus has sent me some dialogue from some of his other Storm players that he's in the chat with, saying that dang, Newton always changes the sideboard. Like I don't have an idea like what he currently has, but Chalice is like a potential card that we could have, right? Like it was like pretty good against Delver when we played on stream last week.
Yeah, yeah, it was. I don't think it's meant to stay, but I think we can play it from time to time and keep it like in a radar as a card that if the meta changes, and Chalice is like, I don't know, randomly super good against any deck, or some deck arises that, like, like the era of 8 cast dominance. Chalice for 0 is super good against 8 cast.
Yeah, the other thing is like I would joke like somebody asked whatever happens to ACAS, because it's kind of like pretty dead deck, right? In my opinion, my answer is there's an inverse correlation between the rise and of ACAS and the rise of elves, right? Uh, I jokingly will say that the elf player can kind of often just cast spells at random and then will be favored still for the most part. But obviously, like not
Mm,
always the case. I would put the percentage
yeah,
maybe
I
at.
agree. I agree, but I
Mhm.
think there are other reasons too. Like, I think the premium Chalice slash prison deck,
Mhm.
the award for the premium Chalice or prison deck right now is Red Stompy,
Yeah, I
and I
agree.
think Red Stompy, since Red Stompy has destroys 8 cast in so many angles. Like Chalice for 0, it's a beating for them.
Mhm.
Blood Moon, uh, literally destroying the sagas before as they touch the board. Um, I don't know. It's just too much. I don't think that they can function without their 0 artifacts and their sagas.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it has a bad matchup. Because I was chatting with Jackson as well against Moonstompy, and then Moonstompy also way more consistent. I think right. Like all the threats are 3 drops and just like slam on
Yeah,
turn two, one or two.
and just so it has a good matchup against a bad matchup from 8 cast. So
Mm-hmm.
if you are a Chalice slash prison player and you have the cards to make the switch,
Mm-hmm.
you are most likely gonna make it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think with that said, I will go ahead and just raid Jarvis now. He
Sure.
is.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for everybody who came by.
No, it was a pleasure, and congratulations again, Inigo. Again, for those of you who are tuning in from Julian's chat, Inigo won. Well, got second place in yesterday's challenge, losing to Anurag. Shout out to Anurag for winning it all.
Yeah, shout out to Anurag for winning with his own brew of the deck, right?
Yeah. All right. Thank you for everybody for rating. For not rating. Well, coming from Julian's raid and for hanging out with us today.
Yeah. See you guys. Okay.